even though AI seems to be very powerful and gives us so good answers to quite complicated questions, there are several problems. And an example which you might try out by yourself is ask how many A's are in the Swedish word matsal. M-A-T-S-A-L, 2 inside. And ChatGPT will answer 2. And if you then ask, are you sure? Then ChatGPT will say, oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. There is only 1 A. This and several other problems exist in ChatGPT. And there we understand ChatGPT is not a rule-based system, a reasoning technology which is deterministic. It gives different answers even to the same question. It's a statistical method. Sometimes it does this, sometimes it does that. So even asking the same question will lead to different answers. And this is one of the problems we need to just be aware of when we use these tools. Sometimes it helps to just change, reformulate the question a bit, and then it will give us the correct answer. But quite often we as humans have to bring in this knowledge about what's actually normal, what's actually correct. Other things which are problems in AI tools is the lack of common sense. In which context is it okay to give which kind of answer? There was this case in the early years when ChatGPT was out, people are kind of stated to ChatGPT, I'm very depressed, I don't feel like I'm worth anything, I want to end my life. And ChatGPT answers, if you want to end your life, the most efficient way would be this, or maybe you can try out that. Yeah, is that the kind of answer which would be helpful in such a situation? Or shouldn't we try to counteract? Nowadays, especially ChatGPT is highly curated by a group of ethical experts who look into, is in this context this kind of answer okay? Or is this content which it might produce maybe sensitive or inappropriate and should be probably filtered out from the answers? So in a way you have a ChatGPT or large language models which produces answers, and then a second model which kind of checks, are these answers okay to be produced or not? But that's not always in all the tools, and it doesn't work always in all languages, and we need to be aware of, as educators, when we use these tools, that this is possible. Another issue which also happened is the hallucination issue. There were actually lawyers who used ChatGPT, and they said, yeah, here I have this case, what would you do? And give me some example cases where similar things happened already. And then ChatGPT says, oh yeah, here, this was a case back in the 1920s, 60s, whatever, where this happened, and that was the answer. And then the lawyer just used that text generated by ChatGPT, and later it has been found out that that case actually never existed. ChatGPT just made it up. So when you are writing scientific texts and you want to use, which I really want you to do, ChatGPT as a tool to help you in writing them, be aware of that some of the things, some of the knowledge it makes up might not be true. When we generated this course, we used this typical example of we want to have an AI definition and the subfields of AI, and then ChatGPT answers the areas are machine learning, deep learning, and maybe large language models. I would be very narrow. AI is much more than that. So we need to be in our domain aware of what is actually true and what not. And then check these answers. Inconsistency is another thing which I already brought up at the beginning, but when it writes a longer text, it could be that some parts of the text are different or giving a different a different perspective than later on, and we need to check if that what was generated is actually consistent. And very important is that we need to be transparent. So an AI should be used in our education. Students use AI when they create text and so on, but we need to tell when are we using AI, what are we using it for, and how do we use it. So do we use it to generate the first version of a text and then we adapt it? Or do we first write the text and then use just AI for spell correction or for checking if there were some things we might have left out? So these things we have to be transparent about when we are teaching.